I went to a yard and thought, I want to be a jockey now because I'm little and everyone seems to think I ride okay. So yeah, so I just went from there.
That's really interesting.
Is it?
Because a lot of people are going through this in their own life.
You know, if I've had a bad day, that's okay. In my head, I was never going to come back riding again. The struggles for me, I think the hardest part for me was
You ready for me?
it's actually
Welcome to another episode of the Dr. Prince Show. And just for you, we have a very special guest, the one and only Hayley Turner. How you doing, Hayley?
I'm good, thank you.
It's so wonderful that you're here again.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
The reason why I just thought you were really special is because anyone that's the first to kind of get in and break through in a scene has to go through things. There has to be something special about them. And what I realized with yourself was you was the first female champion jockey. And you won the Ascots 1 year in 2019, was it?
Yeah.
June?
Yeah.
I thought that was incredible.
I was pretty chuffed with that one.
And you must have been. And I just wanted to know more about your journey. And you know, from a child, did you envision being a champion jockey? You know, what are your attributes that you had that made you want to go into a sport where there wasn't really women paving the way? And you paved the way because now there are so many female jockeys out there doing what they're doing, but they've followed in your footprints that you've left.
Yeah.
And that has to be applauded. So you, if you don't mind me saying, you came into this planet in 1983.
Yeah.
God blessed us with Hayley Turner and your mum Katie and your dad Richard must have been excited about having you. Could you let us know a little bit about your background, just growing up, school, stuff like that? What was it like with your parents and your siblings?
From what I remember, I used to have lots of fun. I think that was the main thing for me. So my mum and dad weren't actually together as I was growing up. I have
really?
two older sisters, Connie and Gemma, but we're quite close. So Connie's 41, Gemma's coming up to 40 and I'm 38. So
quite close in ages.
Really close.
Yeah, nice.
So we lived with my mum when we were younger, and my mum's a freelance riding instructor, so she used to go around to people who had their own ponies and yards, and she used to teach them. We never had our own pony and yard, but I used to sort of tag along to her and sort of, so she'd go and give these guys lessons and they might let me have a little ride on the pony after, you know. So that's how I got into riding horses. Because
most kids don't know, ain't really, you know, getting to even see a horse.
Yeah.
Kind of growing up, do you know what I mean?
I was really lucky. I was from, like, when I was like 3, I think I was riding around on ponies, but and different, like, I never had my own. I rode loads of different ones, which I think was quite good for my riding, to learning on, you know, learning the hard way, you know, riding the naughty ones.
The first time you went on a horse, you was how old?
3 probably.
Wow.
I might have even sat on one when I was a baby, but obviously I was held held on it. Yeah.
That's nice. When did you feel that, like, I love this, I'm excited?
From the start, I think.
Really?
Yeah. And both my sisters rode as well, but I think as they got older, they went more sort of fashion and boys, and I was a little tomboy in the shelf suit, you know, it was like following mum around. I wasn't interested in that.
Nice.
So that was good fun. But my family aren't. My dad, I'm very close to my dad as well. We used to see him sort of twice a week and weekends, and always used to have lots of fun. He's sort of gets me into the other sports, you know, like football and that sort of thing.
Really. So you were like the boy that he never had.
Yeah, I'm the son he never had, and I really have done quite well for him, I think.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, he did get me supporting Notts County, which is like one of those things. Yeah.
So what was school like? Because you went to a school called Minster.
Yeah, Southwell Minster. Again, fun. I know you're probably not meant to have that much fun at school, but I was.
I did.
Yeah,
I love school.
I wasn't. I was good, and I did what I had to do.
Yeah.
But I was never. I wasn't very academic, and so my best subjects would be PE, and like drama. You know, like
That's
nothing
me.
that takes too much thinking.
That's me.
You know,
But it
textiles.
Does. I don't know why people think that. It does. It's just a different style of thinking.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
And I was very like, I used to hang out with the lads. I used to hang out with the lads. I was like a bit of a tomboy still, really. And I never got, you know, I might have been suspended a couple of times just by pushing my luck, but I was never bad. I knew where to draw the line, and I did my exams, and I did everything I should do. But at the same time, I'd be, you know, having a little sneaky hooch on the park with my mates.
Yep, nice. That's what you do when you're growing up.
Yeah, exactly.
You try smoking.
Yeah, I had a go at that, yeah.
Kissing the boys around the house.
Yeah.
Doing all that stuff.
Yeah.
So you never let your mum down. She didn't have to be coming down to school all the time to talk to the teachers.
I knew where to draw the line, you know. I wouldn't have dared get in too much trouble.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed school, yeah.
Growing up, as you come into your teenage years, and then you come to the point where people are thinking about, what do I want to do? What do I want to become? All those pressures, and in your teens, you know, it can be quite all over the place, really, because you don't know. Did you know?
No, not really. I did okay in my GCSEs. I think I got a B in drama and a C maybe. And apart from that, I didn't really enjoy that side of it. And so my mum and dad were very good because they never pushed me to do anything, and they were like, just do something you enjoy. Well, I enjoy riding horses. How can you make a career out of riding horses? Like the eventing, there's lots of money involved if you want to start off, and we didn't have the money to do that. And then I was really lucky because there was a lad in my year called Adam Pogson, and his dad was a trainer, a racehorse trainer. Didn't know anything about horses, racing, and he says, "Oh, I'm going to this Doncaster. It's a racing school." I was like, "Oh, right." He says, "Like you learn how to ride horses the racing way." And so I went on a taster day with my mum and dad. So they just showed you what you do, and the racing school teaches you about the racing industry, and you know, not just being a jockey, but you could work, you know, do travelling or you know, just riding out. And there's so many different avenues to go down. And it was like a 10-week course, and I was like, yeah, I'll go on that. So
you didn't stay there. You left, came back the next day.
No, so when I'd done my GCSEs, you have like a holiday. But the course started like a week after everyone had finished, and I was up for, you know, getting out of the house and leaving. And we had we went to the racing school, and we had to lodge with families over there. And but I got into the riding horses, and I loved it. I was quite good at it straight away, and I think that gave me a bit of confidence. So that's basically how I got into
you like
racing.
Scared, like big horse and dropping off and?
Yeah, no, never. No? And actually, the naughtier the horse was, it's probably like, you know, always, you know, the horse messes around and you sit on, you don't fall off, and everyone's like, "Whoa, she did well there," and I was. Yeah, I got a bit cocky, really. I thought I'm quite good at this.
So you kind of felt like you had a knack, a natural way of kind of connecting with the horse? Yeah, I did.
So when you finish your 10-week course there, then they send you to a racing yard. Yeah. And then you can do whatever you want then in the racing yard, travel the horses, or you can, you know, just loads of sort of racing admin stuff that's involved. It's such a massive industry. Like people don't realise how many jobs it involves. And so I went to a yard and thought, I want to be a jockey now because I'm little, and everyone seems to think I ride okay. So so I just went from there.
So what did you get at the end of the 10 weeks when you finished?
Just you did your NVQ 1-2. And then you got a placement in a racing yard to start your career, basically. So it wasn't like 2 years of college, then uni. It was literally 10 weeks and off you go.
So, because this is like, you don't want to go in the job centre and see that
No.
are up for jobs? Like, how, what would you say to a young person that feels like, I'm interested in horses, I want to do this? What would you say to them to do?
Get involved. There's so many different, like I said, so many different avenues in racing. They've got the Northern Racing College, which is Doncaster, and they've got one in Newmarket as well, which is the sort of headquarters of horse racing, and that's where I'm based. And yeah, just have a look. Have a look online and see what there is to offer, or make a few calls, or speak to someone that you might know that's in the industry, and they're always looking for people with with enthusiasm. And there's people that start in racing, stay in racing. They are the same, like, because I've been doing it for sort of 20 years now, and you see it's like one of the boys in the yard. It was his 68th birthday the other day, and he'd worked in the yard for 40 years, and he loved it. Yeah, and it's so there's so like it's an industry that people that are in it do it because they love it.
Love it.
Yeah, they do it because they love it. And if they didn't, they wouldn't stay in the industry. But it's you certainly get hooked. Yeah.
Do you think that our system and the way it works, do you think if you was in charge of the system, let's say, that you would make it where it was more about young people's passion and getting them into more about what they're passionate about doing than focus on just academic achievements?
100%. I mean, even if just because you're smart at school and you get A levels doesn't mean you have to be a doctor.
There you go. If
you want to go into racing and muck out some horses and ride out, and you enjoy it, do it. And I think unless you love your job, you're never going to be really good at it. But if you love it, you're always going to be like the best, and you're going to want to get up and go to work, and that's what's more important than having a title or a.
That's right. Don't you think that's what gets you up in the morning?
Yeah.
What you love doing.
Yeah, I got up this morning at 6 o'clock, galloped 2 horses, and then I went to the gym, did an hour in the gym, jumped in my car, came down here. It's
beautiful.
And it's such a beautiful day, and I'm just like, I've been doing it for 20 years and I still love it.
Yeah.
So.
Well, you're in great shape.
Thank
you. Your routine has rewarded you.
Yeah.
Because what you find is a lot of young people, or people in general, they find themselves sort of like they're lacking motivation, getting up and a drive and a passion. But a lot of it's because they haven't created a routine for their life.
Yeah.
And did you find that really important as you were coming up, having a routine and doing something that you regularly done that made you better each day?
Yeah, because you get confidence, and when you see results in yourself, it gives you more drive.
Yeah.
It gives you more drive to want to do even better. Yeah, definitely. I think that that's the best advice I had from my parents, is just do something you enjoy.
Yes, that's what I told my son as well. Okay. So just enjoy football. Dad, I'm gonna get you a house. Don't worry about that. I just want to see, you've already made my day. You've made me so happy. I'm so proud of you that you're doing what you love to do.
Yeah.
And I think that's what really makes parents happy.
Yeah.
It's
not about the money and,
no.
Obviously it's nice to have it if it comes, but.
It gives you options.
Yeah, it does, but, you're always going to do better at what you're doing if you enjoy it. I think you get quite a lot of, in racing anyway, there's quite a lot of people that are just handed, they're from a wealthy background.
That's it, yeah.
And
it's a wealthy sport, isn't it?
They're related to, the trainer, and it's easy for them to do well. Trainer's son is, getting on all the favourites, and they win. But I prefer my journey that I've been on, because I've learned so much over the years, and it's not been easy, and I've struggled through some times, but I just feel so much stronger now for it.
Think about those times that you've struggled through, because I love to hear about was it mental struggle more than what was going on outwardly? What was the struggles been like?
I think that the struggles for me, I think the hardest part for me was injuries that have set me back. And it's not the pain of the injury, it's the trying to get back to where you were. So you're on a high, and just suddenly down, you're in hospital, right, you're going to have 3 months off. And then as you're sat there, everything, all the work you've done is just wasted, and you've got to get fit again, you've got to build up your contacts again, you've got to get going again. And I went into it after my injuries, some better, worse than others, but put in it 110%, and I wasn't getting the results, and it was the frustration. I was like, what am I doing wrong? How can I change it? Like, I just got so frustrated because I didn't think I was riding badly. I didn't think that, I just, mentally, it absolutely tortured me that I couldn't get going again.
So where was the problem then?
Yeah, it was just, I want it so much, and I can't get it, and I'm doing everything I can.
So what was that about? How did you get to understand that after you passed that stage? What did you learn from that?
Do you know what I did? I retired. I retired from racing because I was working so hard that every day was a struggle. Like, I wasn't enjoying it anymore. I wasn't getting the results, and I was just so frustrated. So I thought, that's it. I'm done now. I've done so well, and I can't get back to where I was. And so I just gave up, and I went to do some media. I went to work for ITV, and I did that. And then after the break, and I in my head I was never going to come back riding again. But during the break, I was doing ITV. Everyone thought, "Oh, you've got a great job, Hayley. ITV, racing. You're doing well." And it was just like hard work. Didn't enjoy it. And I kept thinking how good my job was, riding horses, compared to doing, what everyone thought would be a good job. I was just thinking, and anyway, after a couple of years, I was trying to find a little way to get back into riding, and I did. And I got back, but I think what I learned from that was going around the hamster wheel, stressing. And I learned about having a work-life balance, and, I learned to relax and take, these, the downsides of them, take them better and learn from them. So I actually came back and I was so much more chilled out. I went and I was just grateful to have a ride to start with again. And then I had a winner, and then it started building up gradually. But my whole attitude was completely different, and I was less stressed, and I accepted what was what. But for that reason, actually, started doing well again. So.
Wow. That's really interesting.
Is it?
Because a lot of people are going through this in their own life.
Yeah.
Whatever field that they're working in. And the thing that you think about doing is giving up.
Yeah.
You think that, okay, this must mean that it's over.
Yeah.
I can't produce what I'm used to producing at the level that I'm used to producing it. But for me, I think life has this process that we go through. And you can get to the very top of your game, but you still haven't arrived. We've got this mindset where we think we've arrived. Yeah, that's me, that's it. But this is a journey of always growing and developing. And you, by listening to what you said, you sound like you went through that process and understood, wait a minute, putting all this pressure on myself. Yeah. I'm a champ. I'm Hayley Turner. I love life. I love horses. Yeah. Just do what I enjoy doing. And however it turns out, it turns out. And you seem like you came to that point where you realize, just enjoy my life.
Yeah.
And gratitude. I heard gratitude coming up there, where you started being grateful. And sometimes we expect so much of ourselves that we forget to be grateful for what we're doing, the life we have, the opportunities we have. And
that's exactly right,
That's awesome that you actually saw that, learned from that, and then you came back.
Yeah, yeah. And it's like, I'm just happy out now doing what I'm doing, you know. And it's also, because I'm like 38, so as a sports person, that's quite an old age. Not old, but do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I've always been the top girl, you know, and I know, like, I've raised the bar more than anyone ever, and I was thinking no one's gonna get near how well I've done till I die, probably.
Yeah.
But then, sort of 10 years later, these girls are coming, and they're like doing what I've done and more. And it was like, to start with, I was a bit jealous. I was a bit like, I want that. Why can't I do that? I'm capable of this. But actually, I turned it around to like, I'm quite proud of them. And like, I've accepted, like, I'm still doing all right. I'm still having Royal Ascot winner last year before. I'm still doing all right. But it's how times have moved on, and what I've done is, like you said earlier, it's helped them, and they're raising the bar even more, and there's going to be girls behind them to raise the bar even more, and it's just like, so you kind of twist your mind to thinking, oh, you know, I'm jealous, I want to be that person. It's not fair to being, actually, you know, this is pretty cool.
That's so powerful.
Yeah.
I often talk to people about reframing the story.
Yeah.
So the first story you told yourself actually resulted in quite negative feelings.
Yeah.
And you didn't feel that good.
Yeah.
But then when you reframed it and you thought about it in a complete different way, then you felt more powerful. Then you felt free, and then you felt like, yeah, I've done some great stuff here.
Yeah.
Because I've paved the way for these girls to break new records and do better than me.
And nobody's done anything different. It's me that's just changed it in my head. And it's that simple, isn't it?
So beautiful.
Yeah.
So powerful.
Yeah.
And I really hope that people kind of just pick up these little skills along their journey that can help them as they go through what they're going through. It's
not something that's given to people naturally. You know, I feel like I have to work with my mental like state almost, which is it's not a given to everybody. Some people might pick it up easier than others, but what I do now is, I mean, I go to the gym every day, not a problem, like not an issue. I enjoy going.
Nice.
But doing some work on my mind is a bit more of an effort, but I treat it like going to the gym.
Beautiful.
Do yourself an hour, every other day of reading, or someone who, you follow and that, you speak about. And it's just a little bit of work like that's,
beautiful. Mental training.
Exactly, yeah. And treat it like, if you don't enjoy doing it, treat it like you've got to go. You've got to do, just do it, work on yourself.
Do you think that the sacrifices, things that not going right, the efforts you have to make every day was helping to develop your mind? Because you have that championship mindset. You wasn't taught that by a life coach. You wasn't taught that by a counselor. You came to understand yourself by thinking about what you were thinking about.
Yeah.
And you thought about, wait a minute, I'm feeling jealous, I'm feeling this way.
Yeah.
And then you thought, well, when I'm thinking like that, then it brings about a different feeling.
Yeah.
That's really powerful. That's what champions do.
Yeah. Your emotions are not you. And sometimes when I'm feeling quite emotional about someone, I step outside and I stand, and look in, say, right, and as a different person, this is what you're feeling, why are you feeling that? And, you kind of have to, not react immediately to how you're feeling at the time.
Awesome.
Yeah.
You don't have to react immediately. I think everyone has got championship in them.
Yeah, definitely.
I really do. So that's why I think this is important to talk about these things, because when people realize it and they see there's another way to think and incorporate it, they get the results and they get a different quality of life based on the way that they're thinking.
And they don't have you don't need anything for it. You don't need money. You don't need any person with you. It's literally you. That's all you need. So.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So how would your sacrifices, because you have to make sacrifices. You have to maybe go without having the fun that you see others having in their life? You know, what kind of sacrifices do you feel that you've made throughout your journey?
I feel like, you know, my family would tell you this, that, you know, it's someone's birthday, christening, wedding, and in the racing industry, it's every single day you're riding, and you don't know where you're riding until 2 days before. You can't turn the rides down. When they come, you take them, and it's because that's what you work so hard for, is those opportunities. So say I got offered a ride on a Saturday in a big race, and, you know, my stepsister's getting married. You're like trying to get out of going to the wedding because you've got to ride the horse. You want to ride the horse. It's like, you know, it's a christening. You should go, Hayley. Your family, like, you think you should probably go. And I'm just like, I can't get off this horse. I've worked so hard to get on it. And so actually I make the sacrifices, but I think my family have learned that, you know, that's how it goes. So I have to sort of be quite thankful to them.
Big sacrifices.
Yeah.
Fitness. Tell us what being fit to ride a horse is like.
It's funny because it's quite different, and no matter how much work you do in the gym, when you ride a horse in a race, like if you've not ridden for 3 months, no matter how fit you are in the gym, it's just you get off and your legs are like jelly, and it's just it's like your core strength is really important as a flat jockey, and it's like your balance, and it's like your breathing, and, you know, the horses are quite strong. It's like your upper body, your back, your legs. Wow. It's like all over.
Yeah, I've never thought about all this.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, imagine squatting, but getting your arms are getting pulled as well.
Yeah.
And then you're having to push, and then you, at the same time, you're in a field of 16 horses, all crushed together in like 35 miles an hour. So your mind is like looking. You've got to know what horse to follow. You've got to know when to move, when to go, and it's really like intense for that short period of time.
Riding a thoroughbred beast.
Yeah, yeah. And they have the mind of their own, those horses. Sometimes, you know, they create havoc. You know, you get flung, but it's one of those things, like your adrenaline is going, you know, in the race.
I was sitting here thinking to myself while you was talking about something, and I thought, I don't want to miss this. Your training, that's it. Horses, man. Like, what's it like in that box getting ready to start? It's like asking a fighter, you know, the ring walk.
Yeah.
You know, in that box, and the horse is ready to go, and like, what's happening with you? Does nerves come into play? What's going on?
Not at all. I think one year I had like 1,000 rides.
Really?
So I would have been in the stalls like 1,000 times. So it's like you going to the office.
I hear you.
It's like, and, you know, if you're riding,
it's a bit different from going to the office.
Yeah, but to me it's like
the horse could fall, you know, and something could happen, and do you know what I mean? There's dangers in the job.
Yeah, but I think being confident and not having that tension is good for the horse. Doesn't react as much if you're confident. If you're grabbing hold of the horse and, you know, being on edge and nervous, the horse, it transfers to the horse.
Wow.
So the cooler that you are, you know, it's like the horse is like, actually, yeah, I'm chilled as well.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's deep, that is, man.
It is, yeah.
The fact that you're going to be a confident jockey, like, we got this, come on, champ.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, he feels that way as well.
But it's like when a jockey's in form, like, for example, Rachel Blackmore, their confidence in riding, just sitting, it transfers to the horse.
Wow.
Like, it's a really big thing. If you're in a jockey in form, all the trainers want to use you.
Oh, that's awesome. So tell me about this relationship with the horse. What's the best horse that you felt like you rode?
I think my biggest career win was the July Cup. No girl's ridden a Group 1 winner, and I managed to get the ride on this horse called Dream Ahead.
Dream Ahead.
Yeah, so it was the July Cup.
I love the horses' names.
Yeah, they're great, aren't they? Yeah. I've got a funny story about that, actually, in a minute.
Share it later, after this one.
And it was just, I'd never ridden a horse before, but it was a Group 1, and it was like televised, and the trainer just went into the paddock, and the trainer was like, yeah, drawn well, you know, didn't really give me that many orders, but ride a normal race. And so I got on the horse, you know, never ridden the horse before, cantered down to the start. I thought, oh, he feels quite powerful, and you know, I know that I'm riding a good quality horse. And Dan at the start just chilled out, rode it as any other normal race, and it won, and it was like history was made. And I only met the horse about 3 minutes ago.
Wow.
And it was like, yeah. And so I think that's a skill, is to be able to get on a horse, and they're not all the same. They've got different characters. Like some horses don't like to be hit. Some horses want to run off. Yeah. Some don't want to go forward. Some duck and dive. Some are, you know, some you need to really boss. And it's just like you get on them, and you got to judge their personality quite quickly.
That's a mad skill to have.
Yeah.
How do you do that?
I think it's because I've done it. I've ridden so many. It's like, but and also it's like, you know, people, you get animal people, don't you? It's like, I'm better with horses and dogs than I would be humans, probably.
That's really nice, man. Being able to read your horse.
So the horse's name thing, you're like this. Please. So the thoroughbreds obviously have owners. Yeah. These race horses are all owned by, you know, quite wealthy people, because it's an expensive hobby. Yeah. So how they name them is usually going on their mum and dad. So they try and connect the name of the offspring. So I rode a horse once called Wonderbra, and her mum was called Supportive, and then Wonderbra had a baby, and they called her Bouncy Bouncy. So they're keeping like the food theme. There's Supportive, Wonderbra, Bouncy Bouncy. Awesome. And that's like, it's quite funny.
That is funny. Didn't you win on a horse called Thanks Bee?
Yes, that was my first Royal Ascot winner.
That's awesome, man.
Thanks Bee, that's a good name, isn't it?
Yeah, because I bet you thanks be to the horse that it made you a champion jockey. Yeah,
and the one I won on last year was called Onassis, and her mother was Jacqueline Quest, but it was Jacqueline Onassis.
Okay.
So that's how she got her name.
Yeah, I'm loving it. So what are the nice things about your success journey? Because obviously I got to travel in places and see people I'd only seen on the TV before that. You know, tell us about some of your celebrities that you
honestly,
got
I've
to
met
link
some
with.
Flipping like cool people.
Nice.
So I think one of my favourite winners was for Ant and Dec.
Oh,
and I actually, not joking, they went racing. So I was riding at Goodwood. I'd ridden the horse. It's called Primeval, and James Fanshawe trained it anyway. Ant and Dec rock up at Goodwood, and I'm riding for them. So I go out into the paddock.
That's so cool.
Chatting away. Anyway, the horse won, and Ant and Dec were there, and we were getting a photo. And I cracked a joke, and there's a photograph of Ant and Dec laughing at my joke, and I was like, I've got to keep that.
You love that one.
Yeah. But then there's like Her Majesty the Queen.
Yeah, come on, let's talk about it.
Wow, like getting a ride for her. My nana and my mum were like, you know, I've ridden quite a few for her now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I've had about, I think, 5 or 6 winners for her.
Oh, that's great.
And there's one time, like a couple of times, she's actually gone to the races. She goes to Newbury.
Nice.
So I'm riding this horse, I think it was called Tactician. And they're like, Her Majesty the Queen's here. So I've got to go out and meet her, and it's like, right, it's ma'am, not mom, and it's like left leg behind the right. So you know, and
so they actually have to school you about
going
how
out into the paddock. I don't care about the horse or the race. I'm just like, how am I gonna? So I went out.
Remember all this.
Good afternoon, ma'am. But as soon as you talk about her horses, it's like, you know, so easy, because she's got such a passion for it, and there's no awkwardness or anything. It's just. And she loves to hear about the horse's character, and you know, because she breeds them as well, and she's so passionate about her horses. Like, she cares for them after they've raced as well, and where they go. And I had a winner last week for Big Nasty.
Oh, really?
No joke. So I didn't even know he owned it, and then someone said Big Nasty owns that, and I like the old dear. I was like, who's that? And my nephew was like, I can't believe you don't know who Big Nasty is. And I was like, oh.
That's cool though.
Yeah.
Because anyone can own a horse, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, anyone, and then you
Or
get
anyone that can afford it.
Yeah. Sometimes you get syndicates, so that a syndicate is maybe like 50 people
Okay.
all pool in for one horse.
For one horse, yeah.
And that's always quite fun, if their horses do well and that their dream is to, own a racehorse, and they probably own like a tiny little part of it, but that's always like when you ride winners for them and that you come in and they're all cheering, it's like magic.
Will you teach me how to ride a horse?
Yeah, we'll have a go.
Yeah?
Yeah. Would you be up for that?
I would be so up for that.
Really?
That has to get filmed though, because that would be just comedy.
Yeah.
Comedy classic.
Jeremy Beadle, that would be.
Trust me, that would be comedy classic. I'll be like this. Please don't. Have you seen any accidents? Have you seen any bad things that's happened in the races?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I have. I've seen lots of horrible things. I mean, I've had quite a few injuries. I broke my ankle twice.
Ooh.
There, I broke my pelvis.
That must be horrible.
Yeah, I've
got some pains in my pelvis now, and I'm like, I hope this isn't one hip problem I'm having or something. It must be horrible. What's that like?
To be honest, I was more worried about how long I'd be off for because I wanted to get back riding.
How long did it take to heal up?
I was off with that for 2 months, but I did I got some wedge fractures in my thoracic, so I did my T6, 7 and 8 when I got that fall, but then I've done my 8, 9 and 10 in another fall. And
Wow.
One of the recent ones was it's this thing called skier's thumb, and it's when when you're holding your ski poles, and it basically there's a ligament that goes from there to there.
Yeah.
And because my horse jolted forward and my whip, it tore it back. So I had surgery on it to get it pinned back, but it didn't work. So my thumb, every time I ride, I have to tape it up because otherwise my thumb doesn't work and I drop my whip or something.
See, we don't know about the stuff that a jockey's got to go through.
The worst one was my head injury, which was like probably worse for my family because I don't really remember any of it.
Oh.
So I was working a horse at home and I was going like 40, 35 miles an hour on it and it broke its shoulder. So it fired me into the ground and I landed on my head. Well, I don't remember anything else, but apparently when they got to me, I had like blood coming out of my ears.
Oh.
Yeah, and it was, I got like obviously concussion and I was in the hospital and I lost my short-term memory. So like my family were coming in and they'd been there for days and I was like, oh, hello, like as if I'd just seen them. And when I was really lucky because I actually didn't fracture my skull and I think my hat had protected me well enough and I recovered from that after, I think it was 4 months. But I got this thing, there's a diabetes insipidus, which I don't know if you know it as a boxer, but you've got like a pituitary gland here.
Yes.
And it sends messages around your body. So because it was bruised, it kept sending a message down to say you need to go for a wee.
Okay.
So, and I kept drinking like water and I was thinking it was telling me. So anyway, it was basically, I was drinking litres and litres and litres of water. And they said, if you don't recover from this, you'll never be able to ride again. And so I had to wait and see if the bruising went down and it came back, which it did eventually.
Thank
but
God for that.
That was a bad one.
Wow, you'd have been riding horses weeing on them while you're
Honestly,
riding.
it's awful, isn't it?
Yeah,
I
horses
literally...
would have hated you. Oh, it's that P rider. Hope she don't come on me.
Yeah, but thankfully that was just crazy. It's like, how is this happening to me? Do you know what I mean?
We talk about injuries, but we don't realise the mental powers you need to come back from injuries. Like, you need to have mental strength to come back from injuries because when you come back, you have to build your confidence up again.
Yeah. There was one time that I came back and I didn't ride quite as well. I think I came back too soon.
Right.
But, yeah, generally it's like...
It's like life.
Yeah.
When you get up, you don't know what the day holds.
Yeah. Nice.
Don't know, and not to get morbid, but I'm always reminded of that because I had one phone call that changed my life with my son.
Really?
So every day I get up, knowing that, okay, when I woke up that day, I was ecstatic. We had me and my mate was doing a gold plating business, and we had an order of about 300 Nokia phones to gold plate, and things were going so well, and I was like, yeah, finally, I'm kind of seeing my way out of the woods. And then, boom, the phone call rang, and I heard client's been stabbed. So when you get that life-changing moment, you always remember that every day you get up, you don't know what the day holds. So be grateful, be present, and enjoy everyone that you meet, and deal with every situation like it's your last.
I think, that's being present is something I've learned only recently. I think it was Oprah Winfrey and Eckhart Tolle did a podcast about a book called A New Earth, which was really interesting, and they spoke about each chapter as it went along, but they were just saying it's don't live like that, up and down. So you're either looking forward or looking back. Be horizontal as where you are now.
I like that.
I found that quite useful.
I like that. Very powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to be, because we're a lot of the times we get up and we're ahead of ourselves. We're not present.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? We're not present with our children. We miss stuff.
Yeah.
And our kids could go away and we've missed that moment when they're trying to get, I've been guilty of this. I've realized this myself with my children. Sometimes they're trying to get a moment and you've affected them and you haven't even realized. They've kind of burst their bubble. They wanted to share something, talk about you, get your attention, you see how you respond to something. And, through life, it's through horrible experiences we go through that teach us to be more present. Teach us to be grateful. I didn't realize what I'd really done in boxing until I'd come out of boxing.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Did you have time to think about what you'd achieved at some point? Because sometimes it's not while you're doing it.
No.
You're so focused on doing the next thing.
100%. And we ride every day. So you're literally tomorrow's had to win a great day next day. And I think when I stopped for my 2 years, I think that's when I looked back and thought, you actually did quite well, Hayley. And so I definitely taken all of that for granted. Even like I said, I've done quite a lot of traveling. I've been, America, Mauritius, South Africa, Japan, riding. But for me, when I go there, I'm riding a horse. I get there, I'm traveling there, I ride the horse, and then I need to get back to do more horse riding.
Wow.
I don't actually take in where I am, how beautiful it is. And so I'd like to go back to all those places again with a bit of time and not working. And actually, it sounds like a glamorous job, but in and out.
It's
didn't
all work.
Even take it in. It is.
It's all work. I totally understand that. I've experienced the same thing.
Yeah, so
we were in Jamaica for 2 months. It was like our trainer was so driven at just getting us into a condition that he didn't even give us time to have fun and see the country.
Yeah.
We had to escape. We'd get up early.
Did you escape?
Yeah, we did. we just said, you know what, bun this, let's go. So me and Cham, we just decided, he was there, another fighter in our camp, and a wild African Cham Juve, my close friend. What we decided was, while he's sleeping, let's just escape and go out for the whole day and come back at the end of the day. Because he gave us no time. He used to train us 4 times a day. It was non-stop. So we got out there and we got to enjoy Jamaica and Ochi Beach and Dunn's River and go places that were just nice.
What was the reception like when you got back?
He knew he couldn't do anything because he already had our fun.
What are you going to do about it?
So he couldn't do nothing. He just carried on because he knew he was smashing us up, man. Seriously, training was mental. I've never been pushed that far, but I think it was his whole mindset in seeing that, are we ready for this journey?
Did you feel good after you did it? Were you pleased you did it, or?
there was times I didn't know whether I was laughing or crying. I was so like, what the frig's happening? It was a shock. I'd never left England. All of a sudden, I've left England for 2 months. I was homesick. And all I'd done was train. So it was like, can I handle this? And then one morning, I was sleeping. It was about 3 o'clock in the morning. And I don't know what made me open my eyes. I was sleeping on the settee of this apartment that we was allowed to stay at. And when I opened my eyes, one of the guys in our camp was sneaking out to go back to the airport to go home.
No way.
Yeah, so I kind of got up like this, I looked at him like this, and I mouthed, because my trainer used to sleep on the floor while we slept around in the chairs. And he was creeping around my trainer on the floor. So I mouthed to him, what you doing? And he was like, can't take this anymore. So I was like, goes, I'm gone. He left. He got on the plane and he left.
Did he?
Never saw him again.
Never again. I wonder what he's doing now.
Probably still working for the airport, because he was one of our fighters. He was a decent fighter. He was doing all right. But because he worked for Northwest Airlines, he got us some like business flights cheap and stuff like that. So we got to go there. But the last thing I thought, anyone would just give up and quit. Maybe. And that's when I realised my trainer really can take you to a level where he can find out what's in your soul, what you're made of.
Wow.
You've been great. You've been great.
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. I think
really enjoyed that. Thank you.
You're an awesome champion. There's so much that I've been able to sit here and speak to you about, and I think that many people, regardless of their gender, regardless of their age, are going to be able to listen to this and see what an awesome champion you are.
Yeah, thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Hayley Turner.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, my darling.